What's happening, y'all? Welcome back to the Media Goose channel. It is I, the Media Goose, your friend Ryan, and the goose is loose, baby. Hi! I'm coming at you today to talk about one of my favorite movies I've seen in a while, Obsession. First off, spoiler warning. I will be talking about full spoilers. I'll briefly give you my thoughts. It's a great horror movie. I think it has more... It's less a slasher movie and more a movie like Hereditary, where it's a very different kind of horror movie. And I think the direction is brilliant in this movie. The use of lighting and darkness, the use of tension, and the use of sound design, and even the score and music in the movie. It's all just excellent. I think right up front I have to say Inde Navarette gives one of the most enthralling performances to watch I've taken in quite some time. Her role is incredibly difficult. The role she plays, it almost feels impossible, the amount of layers happening that she conveys. It's breathtaking. I think it's a genuinely excellent performance. I say it's an Oscar-worthy performance. I think she could be nominated for an Oscar for her role, but she won't be, most likely, because of the way the Academy is, and actors not getting recognized for horror movie performances. But any actor who goes to see this movie will be just floored by the work that she puts in. It is breathtaking. I saw this movie twice. I'll tell you when I'm going to start spoiling it. I saw this movie twice because I think it really needs a second viewing once you finish it the first time. Because there's the movie you think you're watching and you've seen the trailers for, and then there's the movie that's really happening. And there's a villain that is not marketed as a villain. Oh my goodness, the tension in every scene. I think the beginning of the movie, starting with Bear, the lead guy, and his friend Ian, and the waitress they rope in to do this faux Bear pouring his heart out. Bear is basically, most guys that aren't I don't know, the classically handsome guys, or I was a chubby kid my whole life. I'm still overweight a little bit. But the person that isn't chosen first can relate to the feelings Bear has, where he falls for the really pretty girl, and she always talks about how, guys don't really get me. I don't get to talk to guys the way I talk to you. There are so many moments in the first 20 minutes of this movie that make it abundantly clear Nikki does not see Bear romantically. He is clearly already in the friend zone, and he just doesn't know it yet. There are lines thrown in there throughout the first 20-30 minutes before the wish is made that make it really clear that she would never choose Bear. And she even gives him the opportunity to tell her that he has feelings for her. Puts him right on the spot. Bear, do you like me? Immediately. He had his chances. And instead, because he's a coward, he doesn't tell her, because he knows he's going to be rejected, because the signs are there. When they're getting in the car after karaoke, and he says, yeah, have fun driving with your guy or your boyfriend or something. She goes, ew, don't say that. Then there's I can't talk to anybody else the way I talk to you. That is classic friend zone jargon. um, and there's even signs there. Okay, so now I'm going to get into spoiler territory. There's even signs there about the reveal that Nikki and Ian are a thing. I think there are signs about that in the first 30 minutes as well. I honestly feel as though it's a ploy of Ian's to have Bear try to go out and just ask Nikki out, because then it can at least be out of the way. This really gives the feeling of a friend group that is in a weird position because everybody knows the way Bear feels about Nikki. They all also know Nikki does not requite those feelings, but Bear is such a pussy. He's been waiting for this for years. They're not in school anymore, but I feel like this probably goes as far back as high school. And that scene in the car when she's giving clear signs of the relationship between her and Ian, when she says I'm not feeling loved. I took notes when I went to see it a second time, and I wrote down she's clearly leaving because of Ian. She says, like, at least you're not a total brick wall. She's referring to Ian. She probably wants Bear to ask, like, are you talking about Ian? But he is so fucking short-sighted and unfeeling of other people around him because he is so in his I'm a victim and the pretty girl doesn't like me. He doesn't see it. She is giving him signs that she is with his best friend already. And when he says, I got you something, she looks across the car and goes, ew, no. What does that mean? That's not a good sign, brother. And then she puts him on the spot. Bear, do you like me? I think if he had said yes in that moment, she would have said, look, Bear, I've been going through a lot. I think she might have brought up the Ian thing. Like, look, me and Ian have been fooling around and it hasn't worked out, and that's why I'm leaving work. And now, me and you, I see you as a brother. And it would have been a rejection. But because he's such a coward, he can't even ask because he knows he's going to be rejected. So she leaves. He calls her Freaky Nikki, which I think is another sign Ian is trying to sabotage Bear. He wants Bear to fully blow it. Just realize the fact this girl is never going to be into you, dude. I think everybody in the friend group probably felt that way. Even in the car ride when Nikki brings up Sarah. If a girl is telling you about somebody, or if any person is like telling you about how somebody else is into you, they're trying to redirect your attention to them because they don't want you. And this brings me to my very clear, this isn't even an opinion in my opinion. Bear is the villain of this movie. The marketing, it almost feels like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where like in the marketing, the woman is the villain, but it's actually Bear. That kind of feels like Wanda and Doctor Strange. Like, she is who is billed as the villain, but really, if you look at all the signs, Doctor Strange is the villain. But all of the little moments where it's like Bear doesn't even actually know Nikki. And it reminds me of the song Idol Worship. Alright, I got an ambulance going by, I guess. Windows open in the apartment, it's too hot. Damn, what was I just saying? Nah, it's alright, it doesn't matter. But he doesn't even really know Nikki. It is more it's not his obsession, it's not Nikki's obsession, it is Bear's obsession. He doesn't even really know this person. He has this image in his head. The song Idol Worship by Paramore is what I was talking about. That song is basically Haley Williams probably talking to every man that's ever confessed their love to her. Like, I'm just a girl. Please don't put all your hopes in me. The way when she gives the 20 to that homeless person, Bear gets like butterflies in his eyes and like the really cute music swells. Bear is he's creating a delusional state he would rather live in than the truth of the matter of she's not into him. And once they get back, he makes the wish. And something I didn't realize on first viewing, when she leaves the car after Bear says, "No, I don't like you," you hear the door close. She got back inside. I thought that reveal of her being at the door was her like standing there waiting to go in and she froze. No, like she came back outside. And that scene from Inde Navarette is so difficult. It's literally, it feels like the like sunken place Nikki and real Nikki fighting for control. It's as if I don't even know what to call the other Nikki. I guess I'll call her Freaky Nikki and then real Nikki. It's like she doesn't know her role yet. I did just lose my cat Bear. What? I mean, I'm sorry, you lost your cat. There are so many things that show Bear that this is clearly, the wish worked. He looks back at it because he's thinking, did that work? From the like first scene they're back together after she is possessed, he has reason to believe this is not Nikki consenting. And then they go back to Bear's apartment, and she's drunk. Bear had one pina colada and took a sip of a shot, and she's drunk, and he kisses her. This is who Bear is. He's an incel. He's a guy who thinks he's a victim because he's never gotten the girl, but he's sitting in this car with somebody he doesn't even know. He says sunshine in a rock. Nikki would hate that. I kind of think she would like it if he had gotten her that crystal instead of that one wish willow. Watching this movie the second time through with my belief that Bear is the villain made it even more disturbing. Like, when the movie ended on my first viewing, I just thought of it as, like, a really messed up psychological thriller. Almost more than a horror movie, it's a psychological thriller. Watching it the second time, realizing Bear is the villain really made it a horror movie. My goodness. And then the montage of them being together. Oh my God, the first moment, because throughout the movie there are these moments where the real Nikki comes out. And the first time we have that is when her and Bear kiss. And she comes to and is like, what? Sees it's Bear she's kissing and freaks the fuck out. And I think the movie tries to walk a line where you want to think Bear is the hero. You want to think he's innocent in this. He's not. That moment where she's crawling away from him screaming, and he had already had the thought of, is this real? And then that happens. And then there's the scene in the frickin' restaurant when they're having their date, and Ian calls and tells Bear that the cancer stuff she had said when she was trying to just manipulate Bear, the sunken Nikki, not real Nikki. She was using the cancer story as like, it feels like somebody else taking over her mind and just like looking for something to pull at and going, my dad has cancer, but it doesn't even make sense. And Ian says, she's not even close with her dad. What does that mean? So there are so many ways that this movie shows you that Bear knows. And then the party scene is so deeply disturbing. Oh my god, the poem she reads, the her adaptation of Hansel and Gretel. Again, a play on the idea that Nikki saw Bear as a friend, a brother. And the speech she gives is chilling. She does accents to fit the characters, like, oh my god, again, Inde Navarette, just breathtaking performance. She says, like, even if I can't have him, I would take his skin and roll it up and insert it inside of me. Huh! Good lord. And then again, she comes to in front of everybody. It's not me, it's not me, it's not me. And starts bludgeoning herself. For me, I'm like, is that Nikki trying to kill herself? Or is that freaky Nikki trying to, like, take control back from real Nikki? So I really like this movie, y'all. But after my second viewing, I almost think Nikki should have been the lead of this movie. I think halfway through the movie, when he calls the service line, another moment where it's very clear he is an abuser. He is raping this girl, this woman. When he calls, he doesn't ask to cancel the wish right off rip. He says, can you, like, fix her? She's not really playing the role I want her to play well enough. Oh my god, it's fucking grotesque. And all of those scenes throughout the movie after the wish is made, when Bear is, like, admonishing her for those broken moments, it would be like if somebody ordered a sex robot and then called and was like, hey, they're not human enough. Can you make them more human? Just deeply disturbing stuff. And I feel like once that scene in the bed happens, that best scene in the movie where she says, it's me, Bear, kill me, please kill me, and he says, what's so bad about being with me? If you still come out of this movie thinking Bear's not the full-on villain, I don't like what that says about your psychology, because it's not even, like, up for interpretation. He is an abuser, and she is the abusee. She is the abused. And I feel like after that scene in the bed, I would have loved to get some of Nikki's experience. Like, what does it look like for her going through this? Where is it like the sunken place in Get Out? It feels like no exit, where, like, is she stuck in hell while that thing is up in her body? And the person on the other end of the phone, who at first I thought was Bear, but it's actually Curry Barker, the director. I had to look up if he had any relation to Clive Barker, who did the Hellraiser series, because for somebody his age, he knocks it out of the park with this. And if at all you're going at the direction, you're a fucking idiot. This direction is masterful. The use of darkness. The first time Nikki and Bear interact in this movie, Bear is sitting in darkness. In the way that Nikki ends up in darkness later. Like, this is directed brilliantly. I think it's acted fantastically. I really enjoy this movie, and I think there was more there. I don't know if it's a matter of they wanted to save that for a sequel or like a series, because I know this universe is continuing. There's a movie coming out with Jesse from Breaking Bad, Aaron Paul. He's going to be in a movie with this director, and the director said there will be a One Wish Willow in that movie. So I hope we see Nikki's perspective at some point through these events. Nikki's the final girl of this movie. And also, It's funny, the movie begins and ends with a cat dying. Because Sandy dies at the beginning and then the pussy bear dies at the end. Like, he's not even... He goes to kill himself and then won't even do that, so he takes the pills. Like, this man is a coward. And then Nikki breaking it herself, it's the bleakest ending possible. Nikki breaking out of the spell because Bear is dead and being the only one left of those four, that is the darkest, bleakest, most fucked up ending possible. The fact that the abuser got autonomy and agency over how he died. I don't know if it's a commentary on the writing, the writer, or what, but it does feel like if you wanted a hero in this movie, it should have been real Nikki, the one stuck in that, like, sunken place. But I'm hoping there's another project down the line where we get to see what Nikki experienced, because Inde Navarette just did so well in this movie that I almost think she was underutilized, and the character of Bear, I think there was a moment halfway through the movie where you could have switched focus, where it became Nikki the final girl. And I think I would have enjoyed that more. Not to take away from this incredibly bleak, fucked up movie, because that has space as well. But the feminist in me does have that feeling of, like, I don't like that Bear got to take those pills and take the cheap way out. Like, it was a coward not having been held accountable. But, y'all, ultimately, I think this is a great movie, and a movie you should... I mean, if you're still here, I am assuming you saw it with all the spoilers. But if you haven't, please go see it. When I think of movies like Obsession and Backrooms, these are the kind of art I want to be involved in, the kind of projects I want to be involved in as an actor. Where seeing this movie and seeing the Backrooms really put this thought in my head of, like, modern horror is kind of becoming very derivative of, like, theater of the absurd. And I guess Black Mirror is one of the big vehicles of that kind of storytelling that became prominent in the last few years. But so many of these modern horror classics I find very derivative of theater of the absurd in a really cool way. And I love acting in theater of the absurd, so I would love to get to be in some horror movies. I think it would be so fun. And I feel like horror lends itself to allowing actors to go bigger. Like, Indy's performance in this movie can't be understated. You have to have the showmanship involved, and the scenes where she was reading poetry and it felt like the real Nikki breaking through, the moments where she did break through, the moments of horror that felt kind of like It, where the old woman, like, crawls naked in the background, that very much looked like the freaky Nikki's movement. I find so many homages to modern horror in this. It has Hereditary vibes. It has It vibes because of the movement. It had Sinners vibes in the way that it used eyes in darkness, in particular Nikki and her eyes while she was in darkness. I think the director, Curry Barker, and all of the performers involved did an amazing job, y'all. This is the kind of project I want to be involved in at some point, so I can only give glowing reviews. I think there may have been a different story to be told of Nikki's experience, but I have to hope that that's being held off for a sequel. Where maybe you could do a full movie where, like, the first 45 minutes is Nikki's experience of obsession and then becomes her plight. Like, the idea that she's probably going to be thrown in jail because she's the only one still alive there. There's 3 dead bodies in an apartment, and she's the only one left. She'll probably be put in a mental institution. So let's go there. So, y'all, let me know what you thought of Obsession. I think this is a fantastic movie that the more you look at it, the more it upsets your stomach. And the ways I've been critical, saying, like, is it anti-feminist? Is it too afraid to hold Bear accountable? That's not really a criticism. This is the story they told, and I thought it was masterful. That's just my thought on what would have connected with me more. Not taking anything away from the creatives involved, because movies like Obsession should be the norm, not the fucking odyssey of just who are the 10 most recognized white actors in Hollywood, who's the most known director in Hollywood, and that's a movie. Fuck that. Indie movies. Indie, and then the lead actress. This is what I find more artistic value in. So, let me know what kind of horror movies in this vein you want to hear me talk about. I'm going to review Backrooms as well. I might do a review of Barbarian. The first, 80% of that movie's pretty good, and then it falls off a cliff. And a lot of people said it was, profound and affecting, and it's not. I might have to make a movie review of that where I share why I feel that way. But, y'all, let me know what you thought of Obsession down below. The goose is out.